John is a father, he's a husband, he's a grandfather, and a lifelong Minnesotan. And has a 30-year career in Minnesota State Patrol. So he thinks he's going to be able to be our next congressman from CD5.
Thank you.
Good luck, John. Thank you.
I just want to point out to everybody, you never ever get up and speak after Michelle. And the problem with politicians talking, you always want to be the first one, because by the time all the other politicians get done talking, they've already covered everything if they're a Republican, okay? Much of what Michelle said, I totally agree with. But let me tell you about me very, very quickly. You've all got a little handout there. That handout doesn't include the fact that I was a criminal justice chair for a college. I taught classes on terrorism. I taught classes on world government. I was a First Amendment guy. I'm a instructor for young kids for guns. So if a kid needs to go out and go hunting with their parents, they have to go through a youth firearms program. I did that. I did all of these things after I retired from the State Patrol. And I retired as a 30-year lieutenant. This is the one thing that makes me different from all the other candidates. I'm looking for the Republican nomination. The only way I can run against Ilhan Omar is with that endorsement. Here's the thing. I am the only candidate that was born in Minnesota. I was raised in Minnesota. I went to college in Minnesota. I got married in Minnesota. I raised a family in Minnesota. I spent 30 years as a state trooper in public service to the people of Minnesota. And then after I retired, I continued to, serve the state of Minnesota. I love Minnesota. This is my home. I'm not going anywhere. People look at me and they go, so how are you going to flip Minneapolis? So how did they flip the Iron Range? Think about that. Think about that. They were able to flip the Iron Range. I have got one of the best people working on my staff. He is making money. He has done a great overlay, and he knows exactly where the votes are. He knows where to spend time and where not to spend time. We do not spend our money on just junk. Not only do I want to beat, Omar, the most hated woman in America, or at least she should be, I need to increase the base. I need to be able to help defeat the governor. I need to be able to help, get rid of A.G. Ellison. It's more than just a person. It's the entire Democrats. Michelle made a really good point. Right now, we have independents and Democrats that are moderates, and I've already heard them. They're going to vote for me. I ran for the House in St. Louis Park. I was at the top of my ticket. I outperformed the top of the ticket. I got more votes than Royce White did, and I got more votes than Trump did in St. Louis Park. I can't tell you how many votes or places I'd knock on the door, and the guy would go, let me get this straight. You're a Republican, and you're running in St. Louis Park? He and I were talking, and he had a couple of little boys, and I said, you know what school choice is? He goes, never heard of it. I vote Democrat all the time. And I said, well, where do your kids go to school now? Well, they go to this Catholic school. He said, I don't trust public education. Okay. And he was Jewish. Okay. All right. I grew up in St. Louis Park. And I had a second mom, and she was the most loving Jewish lady you're ever going to want to meet. But anyway, as we were talking, I said, school choice. She said, I don't know what that is. And I said, that's where your money follows you, and you can put your kids wherever you want to. You're the parent. You know where things should go. Well, guess what? First time in his life, he voted for Republican because he thought that school choice was a pretty darn good thing. It can be done, folks, but everybody has to get out and vote. Everybody in this room needs to go talk to somebody from CD5 and say, hey, there's this retired state trooper guy. He's running against Ilhan Omar, and he needs your help. And like I said, I could go on and on forever about me, but I don't want to. I want to be able to go to Congress and pass the SAVE Act, for Christ's sakes. Why do we have Republicans that are not doing that? If you want to get rid of this problem that we currently have in Minnesota and across the country, we need that. If you want to be able to, it's like, what are you going to do about Minneapolis and cheating and voting? Well, guess what? Save that act. Those are the things that we need to do. Okay, I'm being cut off. So let's open it up to questions. Anything at all that you want to know? Right here. Oh, I got a guy right here that's got a question.
Can you give us a brief description of the difference between entitled and entitlements? What does an entitlement mean? For instance, your skin color, you have kids, or you worked 40 hours and you are entitled to a paycheck.
Yeah. Right now, in CD5 has 700,000 people in it, right? It's not just Minneapolis. And in those 700,000 people, there are people that get up every morning, they go to work, they're trying to keep a roof over their heads, they're trying to put their kids through school. When I was a state trooper, I had to work a ton of overtime because I sent my kids to private schools. I didn't buy a snowmobile, I didn't go to Hawaii. I made sure that we had money to send my kids to, well, matter of fact, that school I was talking about, that Catholic school, I looked at them later on and I said, yeah, that's my church, that's my school where you're sending your kids to. The same place where I went and my kids went. The difference between entitlement and those that feel that they should just get things, that is truly a difference. Right now, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. You're tired of being lied to. You're tired of having your money stolen from you. $9 billion. Can you imagine what your taxes would be if we had that $9 billion, how many kids we could actually feed? We could have an aircraft carrier sitting in the middle of Lake Superior with $9 billion, okay? But the point is that they robbed that money from us. And, folks, we have a problem in the United States. And it all falls in with Sharia law. Sharia law is not a religion. Sharia law is evil. We have imams in the metro that are preaching death to America. They hate Jewish people. They hate Christian people. And they're out there. Take a look at what's going on in New York. Just take a look at America. We have a problem, and we need to send people to Congress that are going to be able to fight against that. We need to have people that have a spine in Congress. And the other thing that Minnesota doesn't have, we don't have enough Republicans in Congress. How are we going to get that money back to Minnesota? We're going to need to have Republicans there to bring that money back to us because, we're broke, folks. And what do the Democrats want to do right now? Okay, I'm being cut off. Barbara's looking at me going, you better stop it. Okay, anybody, any other questions at all? Like I said, I'll be here until whatever. I need your vote. I would like your vote. I always like money, but frankly, if every one of you said a prayer for me tonight, that would be more than sufficient. So, no dudes in dresses, no guys that think their girls should be around our girls in sports. I'm pro-life. Whatever the Republican ticket is, and you've all heard it before, I'm for normalcy. Okay? I'm for normalcy. And God bless Minnesota. Thanks.
Thank you, John.
And I didn't even need it on my nose. Did you notice that?
Yeah, good.